Hello students, in today's video we are going to study about the blood vessels. So we will study what is the blood vessel, what are the different types of blood vessels, their structure and the functions. Now look at this figure. As you can see here, this is the structure of the heart. Now heart is a muscular pump. It pumps the blood. Here you can see two types of blood. Now the red color of the blood signifies that the blood is oxygenated. It contains more of oxygen and the nutrients. Whereas the blue blood signifies that the blood is deoxygenated. It contains more of the carbon dioxide and the waste products. Now this is a blood vessel. This blood vessel is known as the aorta. Now when the left ventricle contracts, it pumps this oxygenated blood into the aorta, and aorta supplies this oxygenated blood to all the tissues of the body. Now as you can see here, this is another blood vessel. This is the superior vena cava. Now this superior vena cava, it brings deoxygenated blood. It brings deoxygenated blood from the body to the heart. So as you can see here, a blood vessel is a tube-like structure that transports blood in the body. So blood vessel can be defined as an elongated tube-like structure that transports blood in the body. Now as you can see here, the blood vessels, they form a network of tubes, a closed circuit. Now this closed circuit, it transports oxygenated blood from the heart to all the body tissues, and from all the body tissues, this deoxygenated blood is carried back to the heart. So a blood vessel is a tube-like structure, and the main function of a blood vessel is to transport the blood. Now let's understand different types of blood vessels. There are mainly 5 types of blood vessels: arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules and the veins. Now this is a artery. Now arteries are the blood vessels that carry the blood away from the heart. Now they supply this blood to all the body tissues. Now all the arteries carry oxygenated blood except the pulmonary arteries. Now this is a vein. Now veins are the blood vessels that carry the blood towards the heart. They carry the blood towards the heart. Now all the veins carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. Now arteries, they branch into arterioles, and arterioles, they further branch into a network of thin walled capillaries. Now as you can see here, these capillaries are very thin. Their wall is also very thin. Now capillaries contain oxygenated blood that is rich in oxygen and nutrients. Now these capillaries exchange materials between the blood and the body tissues. Now nutrients and oxygen diffuse from the blood and the capillaries into the tissues, while the waste products and carbon dioxide in the tissues diffuse back into the capillaries. Now after exchange of gases and nutrients, this blood that has now become rich in carbon dioxide and the waste product, the blue blood, it flows into the venules. Now as you can see here, these are the capillaries that connect the arteries with the veins. Now these venules, they gradually become large and larger, and finally they form the veins. Now veins, as we have discussed, vein is a blood vessel that transport the blood towards the heart. So as you can see here, arteries are the blood vessels that carry the blood away from the heart. This blood is supplied to all the body tissues. Now this oxygenated blood becomes deoxygenated. It is carried by the veins, and the veins carry this deoxygenated blood back to the heart. So these capillaries, these blood vessels, they form a network in the body. So blood vessels are of 5 types, namely artery, arterioles, capillaries, venules and the veins. Now let's understand structure of the blood vessels. Now look at this blood vessel. This is an artery, this is a blood vessel, and this is an artery. Now this is the wall of the blood vessel, this is the lumen, lumen is filled with the blood. As you can see here, this is a lumen, a small lumen, and this is the thick wall. Now, wall of a blood vessel is made up of 3 layers of tissues. Now, outermost is the layer that is made up of fibrous tissue. It is protective, and this is known as a tunica adventitia. Now, the middle layer, this is shown here in the yellow color. This is made up of variable amount of smooth muscles and elastic tissue, and it is known as tunica media. And the innermost layer, as you can see here, is very thin, and this layer is known as the tunica intima, and it is made up of endothelial cells. So this is the artery, and the wall is thick, and the wall is made up of 3 layers of tissues. Now, arteries are of 2 types: elastic arteries and muscular arteries. Now, elastic arteries are the arteries that are found very close to the heart. These are the largest arteries of the body, like for example aorta. As you can see here, aorta is very close to the heart. Now, when the ventricle contracts, it pushes the blood forcefully into the aorta, and therefore the tunica media of aorta is almost exclusively made up of elastic tissue, so that when this aorta receives the blood forcefully, it can stretch. So elastic arteries are the arteries that are very close to the heart, and they contain more of elastic tissue in the tunica media, so that they can stretch when they receive the blood forcefully from the heart. Now, another type of arteries are the muscular arteries. Now, muscular arteries are also known as the distributing arteries, like for example brachial artery, radial artery. Now, these arteries, they receive the blood from the elastic arteries. Now, the wall of these arteries possess comparatively more of smooth muscles and less of elastic tissue. Now, these arteries, they branch into smaller arteries and arterioles. Now, in arterioles, tunica media consists almost entirely of the smooth muscles. Now, large number of smooth muscles in the wall of arterioles allow for more contraction and relaxation. Now, these arterioles, they dilate if more supply of blood is required by the tissues, and they contract if less supply of blood is required by the tissues. Now, very important, because of more smooth muscles in the tunica media, these arterioles, they can dilate and contract. Now, when they contract, their lumen reduces in the size, and the reduced size of the lumen resists the flow of blood. Now, since these blood vessels, they resist the flow of blood, they are also known as resistance vessels. And these are the blood vessels, arterioles are the blood vessels that regulate blood pressure of the body. Now, these arterioles, they branch into smaller blood vessels known as capillaries. As we have already discussed, capillaries are thin-walled blood vessels, and the wall is made up of single layer of endothelial cells. And the function of capillaries is the exchange of gases and materials between the blood and the capillaries and the body tissues. Now, after exchange, this blood, it flows into the venules. Now, let's understand structure of venules and the vein. Now, as you can see here, wall of the venules and the veins is made up of same 3 layers of tissues, namely tunica intima, tunica media, and the tunica externa. But compared to the wall of arteries, the wall of veins is very thin and the lumen is wide. Now, some veins possess valves. Now, these valves prevent backflow of blood. That means they allow only unidirectional flow of blood only in one direction. For example, veins of the lower limb possess valve. And because of the presence of valves in the veins of lower limb, the blood from the legs flow only in one direction, that is from the legs towards the heart. Now, as you can see here, this lumen is very wide, and thus the veins possess very good capacity to hold the blood. So, they possess capacity to hold large volume of blood. And since they can hold large volume of blood, their capacity is huge. The veins are also known as the capacitance vessels. So this is all about the blood vessels, their structure, functions, and the different type of blood vessels. If you find the video useful, kindly like, subscribe and share this video. Thanks for watching this video.